Goddamn video got interrupted. Who played that role really well, you know. And then you get to then you fast forward to like Takashi, where now it's just on some straight circus shit, you know what I mean? And but it's a train wreck, and people love it. People love to watch it. Woomty woomp. For all the wrong reasons or whatever. And so with Floyd, man, it's just, you know, if he's not in on that joke or not in on it, if they're not planning that out, and it's like real disrespect and real this and that, I'm like, damn, man, you really don't even have to be engaged in all of that. You know, is this what boxing is now? Is it on some Tekashi 6ix9ine shit? Is it on some fake rap shit now? Is that the MO out on all of this? Because let me tell you something too, man. As far as the Jake Paul's and his fan club and all of that goes, I believe what you are seeing too is like, and to an extent, I'm gonna tie Tekashi in, is like you see people who are outside the culture who, you know, don't look like us, who don't necessarily come from where we come from, et cetera, but who have this funny fascination about us, you know what I mean? And now they see it as this is their time, our time. The fans of these people are like, this is our time, their time to I don't know, play, you know what I mean? Play with fire, be gimmicky, you know. You got a lot of, I'm gonna just be honest, you got a lot of white boys who, white dudes, I don't mean to sound derogatory, but you got a lot of white dudes who you know, want to live vicariously through this kind of shit, you know what I mean, and want to talk shit, want to say the N-word to a black person. They be doing this shit online too. They have all kinds of their black avatars and shit. Meanwhile, it's a white dude behind the keyboard being the keyboard gangster, you know what I'm saying? And what Jake Paul and Tekashi and these characters are doing is allowing them to live out their fantasy of being able to disrespect the nigga, basically, you know, disrespect black people in certain ways and get away with it. And at first it's all on some, it's just theater and music, you know, it's just showmanship. We're promoting the fight, we're promoting an album or a mixtape. But then what it really turns into, to me, is like some low-key shit where a motherfucker get licensed to be disrespectful and live out his little fantasies and shit in that way. You know what I mean? It's like that fetish shit, you know? And so with Floyd, man, just want to say, obviously, you're a legend, one of the best to ever do it, arguably the best to do it. You know, and you don't need the money. We all admire your hustle. I mean, and we get it, you know, 20 million to do this or do that or whatever. But I don't know, man. You know, all money ain't good money, as they say. If it's in some way compromising your self-respect. Now, if you in on the joke, then hey, have at it, go forward, promote this thing, do what you do, whatever. But if you ain't in on the joke and motherfuckers is really taking license to disrespect you, and they not even in your class, bro. By class, I mean in no way. As a boxer, as a fighter, obviously not monetarily, whatever. You nothing but a come up, you know, for them to feed off of. You know what I mean? And while you gonna get your cut too, because I know you're a businessman, you gonna get more than your lion's share, or you gonna get the lion's share. You know, there's something to be said about your integrity and your this and that. Because if it's just about the money, man, you know, it's been black people that have always done anything for the money. You know what I mean? That's what Bill O'Neal was doing. That's what them FBI agents and infiltrators and the Nation of Islam and the Black Panther movement and this and that and Billie Holiday, on and on and on. They were all doing it for the money, you know what I mean? They had made no bones about it. You know, black slave catchers and shit like that. It's always been people who are willing to be traitors or sellouts, basically. You know what I'm saying? And one thing you don't need to be is a sellout, man. I mean, you know, bro, you know, you probably a better businessman than everybody watching, right? But, you know, you can make investments. You can do womp to womp. You got generational wealth already. Like, we'd rather see you keep your pride, your dignity, and your self-respect. That's if you're not in on the joke. Because, you know, and low-key, if these kinds of Tekashi antics escalate, like, somebody gonna bark up the wrong tree. You know what I mean? And somebody ain't gonna be feeling that shit. But anyway, this is my take. Oh, and the Lakers, after watching them get their heads bopped in by the Clippers, why I decided to go ahead and include them in this is like, damn, man. Watching them play last night, be completely inept on offense. One thing, let me say this too, because, you know, in some of the Laker chat rooms, I'm not like a true blue Laker fan. I'm a LeBron James fan. You know what I mean? I want to see LeBron do his thing and win. He's the best of this generation, the best of this time. I just want to, you know, I was a fan of Mike. I'm a fan of greatness. You know what I mean? I'm a fan of seeing niggas just do their thing and go above and beyond. So I'm rooting for LeBron to win a few more chips, you know what I mean? Just because I love having the discussions and the debates about the GOATs and this and that. And another championship or two can only add to that legacy. Excuse me as I turn my nose ring around. Can only add to that that legacy and that discussion. But yeah, watching them get their heads beat in by the Clippers last night. Well, one thing is like, Laker fans, y'all can shut up about how Dennis Schroeder ain't all of that and whoomp to whoomp and Alex Caruso needs to play more. Look, I get it, man. You guys love Alex Caruso. I like him too. I like the team. But he was in a G League for a reason, you know what I mean? He's not a starting point guard for a reason. He can't run. He's not a floor general. He can't run the offense. THT is not a floor general. He's a point guard by default. He's still learning. He's not ready to be a starting point guard on a championship team. You guys need fucking Dennis Schroeder. So get off that high horse shit about he ain't worth the money, this and that. On this team, he worth the money, okay? 17-7, I think, or whatever his average is. I mean, it's not all-star or otherworldly anything, but it's definitely serviceable. You know, it's an anchor at the position, and that's what you need, because your two-guard position, our two-guard, the Lakers' two-guard position it's up and down. It's in flux. I mean, I like KCP. I root for him as a person, but, you know, I got the same gripes as Laker Nation has had about him over the years, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, my overall point with the Lakers is, man, this shit is looking like the Clippers and sounding like the Clippers. When I listen to Nick Wright speak on them and he's not worried, it's so ironic because this is everything the Clippers were saying and Clipper fans were saying last year. Oh, just wait to the playoffs and whoop the whoop, whoop the whoop. Yo, chemistry matters. Right now, the Lakers look in disarray. They don't look like they know what the fuck they're doing on offense, you know. And it's also kind of crazy because, damn, I mean, I know Vogues is a defensive coach. Man, you might want to put an offensive coach on that bench, man. God damn. Somebody help clear that up. You know, I love LeBron. I just want to be realistic about where he is in his career and everything. You know, it's only so much time you can go to the well and keep punching the button and expect the nigga to put his cape on and save the whole season and save the whole. And right now, this shit is looking like the Cleveland teams, you know, the Cavs teams, who had LeBron, another good player, Kevin Love or Kyrie, but, you know, absolutely stunk without him, you know what I mean? And him carrying them. You know, that's what the Lakers are looking like right now. They're not looking like a team who, oh, we just need to get our best player back on the floor, and then we at the top again. That would be if they were in the third or fourth spot in the West, you know, and LeBron and AD had missed all this time, but they were still hovering around the 3, the 4. You know what I mean? They're in the 6, maybe edging to the 7th now with that loss, or tonight if they lose against Portland. Like, it's looking like they're a fucking lottery team. It's looking like they're the New Orleans Pelicans, even with AD back. I keep trying to decide. AD never, to me, has struck me as the top 5 player on the team in the league. It's funny how people want to crown him that, based upon just last year, basically. I mean, he's talented. He's a top 5 talent. But besides last year, when have you seen him, 1, be durable, 2, carry a franchise and make the team around him better? Like, he doesn't do that. He puts up phenomenal individual stats. And we understand it's a team game and you need more than one person, but you know, I don't know, man. This year, you know, it pains me to say this, you know, to me, AD doesn't come off as an alpha. You know, you guys, the Lakers gave up a lot to get him. And now it's like, man, had you just waited a year? Now, granted, you got the chip, and that's what you're playing for all the time. So the fact that you got the chip, you know, you have to say it makes it worth it. But, you know, I don't see, in AD, I don't see a guy who leads men, who says things and men follow. I see a guy with a lot of talent and everybody knows he's talented. I don't see a guy who puts some bass on his voice and everybody perks their heads up and goes, oh shit, you know what I mean? This shit just got real, you know what I mean? And sometimes that isn't your best player, you know, sometimes that's, I don't know, I'm not in the locker room with guys, but, you know, sometimes that could be, you know, it could have been a Kendrick Perkins in the locker room who does that. You know, it could be Rondo. I don't know. Even though Rondo seems like such a more soft-spoken guy. Obviously, we know, like, the fiery guys like a KG. You know what I mean? And now I'm leaving out people. Of course, there's others who are that guy. You know, Udonis Haslem, even for Miami. You know what I mean? He's a franchise talent, but, you know, I'm worried about the Lakers franchise as it pertains to, as LeBron leaves, or not even leaves, just ages out of his greatness, who really is the dude that, you know, makes that shit go? You know what I mean? And is ready to wear the captain's hat. And I just don't know if that's AD, man. Don't know if that's AD, man. Stays chipped up a lot. You know, has a reputation for being fragile. And it's not even just the fragile physically, but maybe even fragile mentally. Hurts me to say that. But, you know, when he's sitting up at the podium yesterday saying, hey man, we're okay and my back is just locked up. Like, I didn't buy it. You know what I mean? I feel like the team morale is low. They're not going to come out and say it. I feel like the team is fractured. They're not going to come out and say it. I feel like the team is desperate. I feel like the coaching staff is feeling the heat and the pressure because some of these rotations and things don't make sense. And, you know, Frank hasn't had an easy job, but at the same time, it's, you know, they don't seem to have a fallback and a go-to like, well, it's one thing to be practicing and tinkering and working out the kinks and just trying lineups, which they've been doing, you know what I mean? And trying to implement things and acclimate certain players to and schematically and all of that. They've been doing that. But they've also been on this losing scale where I know they've said, hey, let's just go ahead and win. You know what I mean? And that at that time, it's like, okay, this is our lineup. This is our team. This is our identity. This is what we do on offense. We're not fucking tinkering with this game. We're just going to go ahead and win. You know what I mean? This is our go-to. This is our go-to guy, or these are our go-to plays. This is our go-to set. This is what we do on offense. This is the way it looks. This is the way it runs. And it looks like they don't have a fucking clue. As inept as New Jersey looks on defense, is as inept as the Lakers look on offense. Like, they look like they have never, I mean, the turnovers, just everything about their offense, it looks bad, you know. AD shooting that fall away jump shot that bricked or damn near airballed and then falling into the scores table. I mean, this shit looks clumsy. And, I mean, niggas just don't look focused. You know what I mean? I get it. It's a different age. You know, I'm 41. I just can't imagine, and maybe I'm wrong because social media wasn't out. I mean, Mike was always out gambling, doing this, playing cards. Niggas in the dorm rooms or in hotels playing video games. You know, I get it, but I don't know, man. It's the time to lock in. You know what I mean? And it just doesn't seem like niggas are really all that locked in. You know, the video games and all of that, that should have been coming out what you was doing in February. You know what I mean? It feels like the Lakers obviously won. They played really well in the bubble. AD played lights out in the bubble. And he doesn't appear to have the same lock-in switch that LeBron is, where LeBron kind of comes off, and I could be wrong, I mean, they all have lives and shit, but LeBron comes off anyway as always being locked in. Maybe not as locked in as Kobe and as maniacal as Kobe, but that's also why nobody wanted to play with Kobe, and he couldn't get any free agents to come to LA. So, you know, you have to be likable in that sense. And I think Kobe alienated a lot of people when he was in his peak, in his prime. It wasn't until his last 2 years when, you know, he had already been hurt. They weren't going to win a championship and nobody was coming. And he was forced to take guys under his wing, to be more approachable, to lower his expectations. You know what I mean? That they weren't going to win a championship, but it's about getting better every day and learning. And maybe your legacy at that point is, hey, I can maybe raise up the next guy to carry this thing because I'm on my way out. It's just honest. But AD seems like, you know, he won. They won last year. They had a championship hangover. Now, granted, and I don't think it's any coincidence that the teams that went the deepest in the playoffs and went in the finals have struggled this year with injuries or, you know, Miami with COVID, this and that protocol, like one thing after another. They had the shortest turnaround, the teams that went the deepest. Everybody else had an additional month or 2 or 3 off, while they had to kind of turn around, you know what I mean, and get back in it. I'm like 3 months later, hell, you know, you partied the first month and a half. So, if not more, you know what I mean? But it seems like, feels like, looks like AD won and he played like an MVP and patted himself on the back and validated himself, and then kind of came into this year like, yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll be all right. You know, Rob Pelinka made moves in the offseason that at first glance looked like, oh shit, they